So what I'm going to be talking to you guys today about is some of the statistics for both the center and for the library. And we'll start out with the center statistics. We showed you these same statistics in the spring FDI last year, just so that you were aware of what we were doing here in the center. So this semester, the center's changed a little bit. Now, instead of being Ellen and Brittany and I, it's Ellen and Jeremy and I. I hope all of you guys have had a chance to meet Jeremy by now, but Jeremy is our other instructional technology librarian. And our job title has actually changed since Kathy quit to librarian instead of just instructional technologist, FYI. So last year we talked first about how many Moodle questions the center answered, and all of the graphs are August, September, October, November, and December. Okay, so this semester, in the fall semester, the center answered a total of 403 Moodle questions, mostly from faculty and to a very small degree from students. Most of the ones from students would have been in this area, and they were, how do I get logged in? Occasionally we get one from a student that says, hey, the teacher says I'm supposed to have a test, but the test isn't active. But that usually then gets turned around into a faculty one, because then we contact the faculty member and find out, did you really intend for this to be active? Do you know how to make it active? Stuff like that. So 403 Moodle questions answered by the three of us last semester. The next statistic that we gather is the number of course design consultations we do. There's a big difference between that and Moodle questions answered. Moodle questions answered is, hey, how do I make this test active? You press this button. A course design is, I am designing a new course. We are offering a new course and I need to completely design it. Or it might be something like, I have this course that I've always taught, but such and such aspect of it hasn't been successful. What instructional strategies can you help me with to make it more successful? So for those, we did 17 of those this semester, and it's not too unusual that the majority of the questions were in August and September, and then fewer in the last couple of months as you guys were using the stuff that we helped you with. The next thing that we keep track of is instructional technology help. That would be anything technological other than Moodle. So if you're teaching an online course and your students have questions about XProctor, that, as you can see, is the vast majority of our questions. 64% of our questions come from students who cannot figure out that if they turn on XProctor, it's running. We've made it too simple. We need to make it harder so that they can tell it's running. But that's a battle I can't win. Other questions that fall into this category, 11% of them are software requests. In other words, you guys asked for help either having installed a new piece of software on your computer. That was only one or two of them. Most of them were help with, I want to use Padlet, but I don't know how to use it. I want to use ClayPosit, but I don't know how to use it. I want to use Flipgrid, but I don't know how to use it. So places where we came to you guys to help you use instructional technology. And then 25% was troubleshooting that. Once we got you set up with it, you had additional questions. So for a total of 256 opportunities to help faculty and students with those types of questions. And the last thing that we keep track of is library statistics. I'm going to go into this in more depth later. So for right now, I will say that we answered Jeremy and I, how is that hard, answered 491 library questions this semester. And since I'll talk about that more later, I'm just going to go by it. So that is a total of 1,167 questions answered by center staff this semester, which works out to about 11 questions a day, if you're curious. Some of the other statistics that we gather are what's our attendance been like in our programs. This is Adjunct Faculty Development Institute from August, and this is Faculty Development Institute from August. Obviously, those are the best attended programs. You want to guess why? Because they are mandatory. That's right. We offered way fewer programs this semester than we did in fall of last semester. We offered some bring your questions in the computer lab, and we had a total of 3 people attend those 3 sessions, 1 each time. That's actually okay because that allowed us to give a lot of personal attention. Oh, that's true. Ellen reminds me that adjuncts wasn't mandatory. Those people attended because they wanted to, which was pretty cool. We gave a workshop on how to use Zoom. That was a lunch and learn. And we gave another lunch and learn on how to use Ambrose videos. And we had a total of 3 people attend those. So other than these 2, our best attended activities this semester were the 2 Teaching with Technology webinars, which were held in the evening. One of them was on Office Mix, and we had 4 people attend that. And one of them was on Flipgrid. We had 5 people attend that, including one of your fellow faculty members who used it and helped me do the presentation on it, which I greatly appreciated. We also keep statistics, since we make a lot of YouTube videos, we keep statistics on whether they're useful or not, because frankly they take a lot of time, and if nobody's using them, I'm not going to take my time to make them, but they actually get used a lot. These are instructional design videos and how often they were viewed this semester. Specifically, the TPAC video may be a little bit skewed because we use that with the Maduka group. So the Maduka people might be looking back at that. But the Teaching with Technology webinars have actually been viewed a decent number of times, and the online facilitator training video seems to be useful. Moodle tutorials, we used to only have PDFs for our help on Moodle. We started making videos because some people prefer those. And we've actually had a pretty decent number of people watching those, especially the gradebook one and aligning your syllabus and your gradebook. So that was very encouraging to us. The videos that are hit the most are actually the videos on teaching with technology tools, believe it or not. For example, just last semester, 133 people watched the video, or 133 times the video on using PlayPosit was used. The Spark video was watched 45 times. Zoom for Students, that was watched by students probably 29 times. But these all have a decent number of hits, so we're pretty pleased with those. They show interest anyway. And then we also make a lot of tutorials, video tutorials for students, and those are obviously watched a lot because we have a lot of students and they watch them. The most popular one, gee, guess, installing and using XProctor. Just couldn't make it any easier. Okay, so the total number of times our videos were watched this semester, 2009. So we consider that a fairly good use of our time in that case. I mean, if you break that down, that means that including our entire population, students and faculty, that means that each one of our videos was watched about 1.5 times by each one of those people. So that's pretty decent. We consider that valuable. Okay, now I promised a breakdown of the library statistics. I'm a librarian. That's what I went to school to be. That's what I've been for the last 20 years, and that's what I enjoy doing the most. So obviously these statistics are very important to me. And they should be important to you because they reflect what your students are actually doing when you assign them to do some work, some research. So remembering that we have face-to-face, around 300 students on campus? Is that right? I think that's about right. About 300 students on campus. We had physical print books checked out 97 times last semester. So that means about one in 3 students physically checked out a book. That's actually really good numbers when you look at ratio of books to population. Typically, a library, an academic library, considers their checkouts good if they have a 1 to 20 ratio of populations to checkouts. We've got a 1 to 3. Our students are trying to use this library. We are going to try to make it better for them to use because they obviously have interest. That looks like a scary number, but it's actually a really good number. Okay, we also offer online books, ebooks to our students. Now, this population's a little bit different. This would be all 1,000 FTE students that we have. We currently have an FTE of 1,100. I asked for that statistic this morning, so I know it's accurate. We had a total of 137 ebooks downloaded last semester. So that's more or less a ratio of 1 to 10. That's still better, twice as good as the typical average of 1 to 20.
I'm just wondering if you separated the content backwards.
No, there's no way I can do that. Unfortunately, there's, good for you, and I appreciate that. Yes, I helped you check those out. No, so the couple of books you checked out did count in that. That's true. No, there's no way. For privacy reasons, that's a good question. For your own assurance, there's absolutely no way that we can tell who checks out what book. That is an ethical standard for libraries. We never keep those statistics so that we can never be forced to provide them to anybody. These are broken down by subject area. Okay, so you can see that nursing checked out the most ebooks. Criminal justice checked out the second most. I was impressed by that statistic. Business came in third. Okay, so we can divide those types of things out. So that's ebooks. Now, obviously, the vast majority of our students are reading articles, right? And there's a good reason for that. It takes a long time for a book to come out. In most of your all's fields, by the time the book comes out, it's already out of date. That's why we publish in journals. Okay, so let's look at journals. And this is where those information literacy statistics come in. Our students did a total of 81,305 searches for articles in the fall semester. That is an awesome statistic. They managed to find 23,397 articles that they felt were worthwhile enough to download the full text to their computer. So hopefully that means that our 1,000 students each read at least 23 articles last semester for research. And since we know that our freshmen probably didn't read that many and our upperclassmen probably read more, that probably means that our upperclassmen really did a lot for their research this semester. And those are, again, awesome statistics. To tell you the truth, I used to work for, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just have a question. So the students in IDS,
it has to fall into this category. For IDS, it's too hard for me to tell which one's which. And that's true for most of, that's true for most of your gen eds. It's easy for me to tell who's looking at nursing things. Because if it's about CPR, and your students did a ton of research about CPR last semester. But if it's about CPR, it's for a nursing person. If it's about a horse's tendons, where's the equine people? Tendons, man. I know everything there is to know about horses' tendons at this point because I like to read the articles your students ask for. Education. What did they do in education this semester? Man, that was pretty much all over the board. It was really all over the board. But at any rate, I used to work for Scott County Public Library, which had a population of 50,000 users using their databases. Our numbers equal Scott County Public Library's database searches. Their population is 50,000. Our population is 1,000. Our students are working. But let's look at this. This ratio of basically 1 to 4, I did 4 searches before I found one article. That is not good, honestly. We would like to see that be a 1-to-1 ratio. I did a search. I found at least one article that was useful. And that's where information literacy training can come into play. We can show, Jeremy and I are trained in teaching information literacy. Just like you guys are experts to teach the field that you teach in, Jeremy and I are experts to teach information literacy. We know how to show students how to translate their research topic into search terms. It would be of great benefit and improve the frustration level of your students if you allowed us to come into your classes and take between 15 minutes, we'll take as little as 15 minutes, we'd love to have the entire hour to do a little information literacy training so that by the time we repeat this exercise, we've at least turned this around to a 2-to-1 ratio. I'd love to see 1-to-1. And I want you to remember, if you are responsible for managing adjuncts that teach online classes, or if you teach an online class yourself, we can do the same training online. And I can either do it synchronously, meaning I meet with your students, or Jeremy and I, we can either meet with your students synchronously, or we can provide a video tailored for your class that your students can watch on their own time. So we really encourage you to have us participate in your online classes too. Okay, more stats. Interlibrary loan. I just took over interlibrary loan when Kathy left, so I've been doing it this entire semester. Last year, I heard a lot of faculty members saying, our students can't find the information that they need for research. We should have this journal, we should have that journal. Well, you know what? 36 articles. I had around 200 requests for interlibrary loan. I only had to get 36 of them through interlibrary loan. All the rest of them I could find in our library. I'm not complaining about that. I should have more skills to find the articles than a freshman. If I don't, you guys need to fire me, like right now. But I'm just saying, what that showed to me, I was really concerned about whether we did have good resources or not. But what that shows to me is we do have good resources. Again, we just need to teach people how to use them better. And we can do that. That's easy. And just FYI, we loaned 33 articles, 33 items to other institutions, keeping our ratio about 1-to-1, which is what we consider to be fair use in library ethics. So we did what we strive to do. Reference requests. This is where I got that about 200 number. We had about 238 reference requests, meaning that 238 students either contacted us via email if they were online, or they came into one of our offices, either Jeremy or I, and asked for reference help. And in these areas, equine, where are you guys? Yeah. Good job. Nursing, yeah. Love you guys. But seriously, we get a lot of questions from all the different majors here, and we really love those questions. So definitely encourage your students. This is double the number that we had last year. So that means that you guys heard what we said in fall FEI, and you did tell your students, yeah, if you're having trouble, contact the library. So thank you, and keep doing that, because this is really helping your students. This gives me the opportunity to really get in there with them one-on-one and show them, I would search for it this way, and why don't you try this? So one-on-one I can do that same information literacy training that I would do for a whole group, and those students end up way better off. So that's great. Let's keep that up. We also have LibGuides. I mentioned the LibGuides to you guys in the fall. Well, Brittany and I mentioned the LibGuides to you guys in the fall FEI, and we said that we were going to be reworking them. We've almost completed those reworks, If you haven't looked at your subject's LibGuide recently, I recommend you do. You'll find that every LibGuide, at least by the end of this month, will have a news section which supplies RSS feeds of current, more popular trade articles. It has a list of journals. It has a list of featured ebooks. It has the Ambrose videos worked in. And it has a research tips worked in. In some cases, it's specific to your area. You guys have got the PCOT, whichever way you want to pronounce it, thing in yours. Other people will have, I know that because they're my area. Other people will have things that are specific to their areas, okay? We encourage you, we not only encourage you, part of FDI this semester will be having you look at those, but we want you guys to give us feedback. I made a list of nursing journals. Okay, good. Nursing journals. The few ones I found. Actually, I'm not finished with y'all's list of nursing journals. I will be by the end of the day, so don't look as soon as it's over. But same with all of you guys who are, I did the same for psychology. I did the same for education. I did the same for criminal justice. Are they the good ones? No. I could do criminal justice decently because I've got the computer forensics degree. Nursing, education I could probably do decently, but you guys should give feedback on whether I did English. English is done. I did English 101 and I did English literature. So you guys should have a look at those and give us feedback. We want to work with you on what's in those because your students are using them. Who in here is business? We're business people. Right. Well, no, that counts. Look at how many students used business. 228 hits on that LibGuide last semester. Look at psychology. 270. Of course, yours has always been the best LibGuide.
I have a assignment in
that makes them use it. This is a very good idea, folks. You should imitate this as an idea. But, I mean, I was impressed by these numbers, though. Criminal justice, which is kind of a sucky up until recently. I mean, it hasn't had much in it. Nobody's contacted you about that. It's not your fault. You didn't write it. But it's been kind of stinky. It had 69 hits still. Equine's been fairly decent. It's got 58. We really want to get those to be good so that they're really useful to the students. Because what the LibGuides, in case you guys don't really know, what the LibGuides are is it helps the students, it points them towards the journals that they should be using. So for your all's particular fields. Okay, library instruction. We did library instruction. In other words, we did some level of information literacy training for 297 students, which, given our face-to-face, we did none online this semester, so that's all face-to-face. So that's more than the number of total face-to-face students we have. So that means that some of the students probably got it twice. That's not going to hurt them. But this is 3 times more than we had for fall of last semester. Way to go, guys. That is exactly what we want to see. We asked you guys to invite us in fall FDI, and you did. That is absolutely outstanding. Let's keep that up for spring. And you'll see in the FDI course that one of the things that Jeremy and I have been working on this semester is scaffolding the information literacy training for 100 and 200 level courses, 300, 400 level courses, and graduate level courses, so that it makes more sense what each one of those groups, what each one of those levels of students are learning. And another thing that we've been doing is working on exercises to use in the classes that we go to see that correspond with those levels, so that the training is more useful and more applicable to the place in their research where the students are. And we are happy to work with you where you tell us, I need the students specifically to learn this. And we will come in and we will say, okay, to teach that I would do this, this, and this. Is that okay? And you say, no, I'd rather you do this other thing. And we say, okay, and we come in and we do exactly what you tell us to do. So feel free to consult with us about how we can help information literacy. We're improving. We're getting better with our ability to do that. And you guys can really help with that. Okay. Other library services are, you know, that somebody comes in and asks, where's the math lab? Directional. Help with the printer in the library, helping students with non-printer IT things in the library, like I can't use Word or whatever, and then reservations for our various rooms. And then, just because I know that some faculty members are competitive, we made this little tree graph. This is a tree graph, and it is a visual representation of how each of our subject teaching areas has used the library in the fall semester. Nursing, by far, used the library the most. Then I'd say business and psychology are more or less equal. Education, equine, biology, English, sociology, believe it or not, criminal justice. I could break out interdisciplinary here. I can't remember how I did it, but I wrote it down, so I could tell you if you asked. Midway 101. Midway 101 was mostly information literacy training and some help with some of the little papers that they did, and then some other areas, which the number of times, frankly, that music and art use the library surprised me. This is a tree graph. Yes, this is my new favorite graph. Because it's so visual. It's a great visual representation. I really, really do. But it's very, don't you guys agree this is very visual? It's kind of neat. Okay. I'm sorry? Yes. Yeah, if you have upgraded to the new version of Excel, the 2000, it's first available in Excel 2006, which is available for Midway University. It should, yes. Yes, it should. If not, if you run the office update, it will happen. This is for Tuesday. Yeah, it doesn't have a 3D ability, unfortunately. Okay, so those are my library and center statistics. Any questions or comments? Very interesting. I am loving statistics. Nice job to you guys. It shows that you're really using and encouraging your students to use the resources that are available here in the library, and we love you for that, because I think that I can speak for Jeremy when I say this is our favorite part of our job. So thank you guys so much.
I do want to say one thing about statistics and how Caroline comes to me and says, Ellen, we have all these stats. And my next question is, what story does that tell us? What are we saying here? What does this mean? You can see the numbers, you can see the ratios, but what does this overall story? What is our story? And to me, it seems like we're making a more conscientious effort to assist and help our students in conducting research in the proper way. I'm so impressed, and I reiterate what Caroline said. Keep these two coming to your classroom because it is working.
It really is.
It really is working, and I'm very proud to see the love in the library.
And frankly, the other story that it tells, one of the things that Ellen and Jeremy and I talked about was The other story that it tells is the students really are, I didn't include in here door count, but we also, for the iPad survey, we do a door count with some regularity. The students really are using the library, both as a physical space and as a portal for research. So what that tells us, the story that that tells us is that we need to make improvements. To be completely frank, there's been not as much attention paid to the library collection as should be. And Jeremy and I are really working on that. Currently, we have pulled and disposed of all of the old journals. If you walk upstairs, they are gone. We are currently disposing of a large number of, our goal is to pull between 30 and 50% of the physical books in our collection. You don't have to worry that we're going to throw out without your consultation something that's truly valuable. I promise you that that's not going to happen.
To expand on what Caroline was saying, one of the reasons we're going to collections like you are right now is because of partly the history of the institution. Most of you are aware that this was originally a school for orphan girls and a secondary school, or primary school, a junior college, and finally transitioned into a full college and then a university. A large chunk of our collection, even in the technical areas, is aimed at much lower levels of education than our students.
Yeah.
When we talk about important works and seminal works, there are things that transcend those boundaries. But then we have problems with information that is aimed at teaching the basics of elementary school education, and we don't have elementary school students anymore.
And those might have some value to you guys, but most of them not, because they're also from the 1800s.
We also have a large amount of information from the early years of our institution's life as a junior college or college, where the technical information is not just out of date, but grievously out of date and misleadingly out of date.
Yeah.
A lot of the computer science stuff we have still talks about, the internet directory. Raise your hand if you remember the internet directory. We don't have that anymore.
Right. We don't need that, but
we don't need that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things we're pulling fall into that category.
Right.
Things that are not just wrong, but misleading.
Right. Exactly. And it's just this type of, we call it weeding. This type of weeding just hasn't been done in years. And it needs to be done to make physical room for books that meet our educational level and that meet currency standards.
And as librarians, Caroline and I find this whole process really heartbreaking and really horrible that it has to be done at all, because we are champions of literacy in general, and the written word and books are just fond to us. But we have to focus on the things that are valuable for you as faculty and for our students. And a lot of that stuff just isn't there anymore.
Yeah. The best parts of the collection are equine and nursing. We need to bring that up for everybody else.
Question. A lot of times our students don't get their books before the class actually starts. Is there any way that we could get ebooks of our course books?
Yeah. I looked into the possibilities of textbooks on reserve or whatever, because I get that question from a lot of people. Ebooks and the textbooks are simply not available for the library check. They're not licensed in that way. So that is straight up not
Yeah,
possible.
you're going up against the publishing companies there, so, if they're not making money, the answer is going to be no.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's the way that is.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And then we talked about just getting a physical copy, because we do have some physical copies. But the problem with that is this. If we did something like that, we need to determine, okay, let me do it this way. I broke it down. If I got a physical copy for every class that we offer, I would spend twice my collections development budget for the entire, so I would spend 2 years worth of collections development budget. And then what happens when you guys change the textbook? So that's just not going to work. So that's not a valuable,
Now,
I would much rather
what
buy.
we have done is open up the classes a week earlier.
So that,
So with our online environment, they don't just have the weekend anymore. The classrooms have been open since January 1. They don't start until January 8th. So in that respect, we've opened it up.
and the other thing that we're
Even though they
working,
can go on eCampus at any point in time.
And
figure
see
out
it.
what the
they don't
textbook is.
necessarily know that.
The-
Yeah, and the other thing that we're working on along those lines is we're working on a syllabus repository where where our ultimate goal is to put all of the current syllabi for a course into a repository that students can refer to at any time, both to see what textbook is required and also to see the requirements of the course, see whether it's the right course for them. So that will hopefully help with that too.
And don't forget that financial aid gives vouchers for students. That's where their books come.
Yeah.
That's where their texts come in to get books.
Right, so that helps too. However, I will say this, if any of you have asked for a copy of your textbook from the publisher and obtained one that you would like to give to us to put on reserve, we would be happy to put that on our reserves. Yes, exactly. Because we get asked this question from students all the time. I left my textbook for such and such at home, but my class got canceled, so I have time to study, but I don't have my textbook. Do you have one I can borrow? I wish I did, but I don't. So read a fiction book. But, so that would be very helpful.
What's the process of donating books? I haven't thought I could donate.
The process of donating books is you handing me or Jeremy the books, and we say thank you and give you a written thank you card.
What's the name of yours? How's it go?
Yeah, we, our fiction collection, we've moved over there, so it's more, our popular fiction collection. We've moved over there so that it's more accessible. And a good portion of that was donated by Brittany Netherton before she left and by Phyllis Puckett. So, if you would like to donate, we are happy to take it.
all right, we're ready for a break. I tell you what, it's 9 on my watch. It's 9:56. Let's meet back here at 10:15, and then we're all going to work together in kind of a collaborative discussion with me and different ways of learning.